everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and it's Thursday morning and I'm running very late. Not quite sure what happened, but for some reason my body did not want to wake up this morning. So I'm very grateful that it did eventually. So I am on my way to work, but very late. So here's the update. It's really strange, because I was just about to not finish, but I was in the middle of uploading last night's video when one of my much-loved broadcast viewers happened to be on Skype, and we started chatting. And this is a person who's very much a together person, very a smart lady, let's put it that way. A very smart lady in my view. And she was saying to me that for some reason her whole ability to make decisions was suddenly falling away. And that, she was needed to make some really important decisions in her life. And the reason is because she's about to get married. And that suddenly she was having great difficulty making those decisions. And it really confused her because she's normally such a great decision maker. I mean, she doesn't think twice about making a decision. So I had to smile, because I know how vulnerable that feeling is, where you're used to being able to make very quick decisions and suddenly your mind doesn't want you to. So I asked her the one question that I would ask of myself. What's the fear? Because it's been my experience that when you suddenly start procrastinating, or when you suddenly start changing a behavior, that you normally have, or even if you are exhibiting a behavior that is not in keeping with your age group, let's say. I think that would be the fairest way to put it in those terms. I'll come back to that point later. But what normally is the reason for that is because your inner child is having a battle. Now, I don't want to sort of spend lots and lots and lots of time talking about the inner child, because I don't have lots and lots and lots of time. It's just a quick journey to work. But enough to say that we have this little kid inside us that hasn't grown up yet. In a lot of cases it has grown up, but in certain cases it hasn't. And so what it does is it stumps its feet and has a little tantrum, or it pleads with us to listen. And so it's really important when you're having those sort of difficult moments is to find out what that inner kid wants. What is it trying to tell you? And quite often it's trying to protect you in its own way, even though it may not be very mature. In its own way, it's trying to protect you. And in this case, it was delightful to hear the answer. The fear was that she wouldn't make all her wedding dreams come true. Wow. And so then I asked her what were those dreams that she was battling with. And it was so cute because the description of the things that she wanted to have in place for her wedding was so delightful. Really delightful. And so romantic and so understandable would be the word. The only thing was that in reality it was difficult to put all those pieces together on one day, in one country, in one location. And that's why she was having a problem, was because the kid wanted these 3 elements, major elements, for the wedding. And the adult was struggling to find the right combination. And so every time she had to make a decision about any one of those 3 elements, the kid inside was going, no, 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 but it hasn't got this and this as well. I wonder if that's making any sense to anybody. And so that's what was stopping her making the decision. She didn't want to disappoint the little kid. So what I recommended to her was that she start going for a win-win with this inner kid. And the win-win may sound something like, yes, you're not going to get this, this, and this, but I am going to make sure you get this, this, and this. In other words, go for the win. Both of you win. You win in terms of the decisions you have to make, and also the kid wins in terms of satisfying that need. And then you come to a negotiation. And if you can get to a negotiation, the chances are you can make a decision. And it was really a fascinating few minutes online, because I'm a great believer there are no coincidences. So there must be other people out there that are having their version of this. Because it's been my experience whenever somebody brings up one of these things, and if I bother to talk about it when I'm driving in to work, that somebody else will go, wow, I'm so glad you discussed that because I'm having the same problem. Now it may be, now mine, of course, mine is about food, because you know that I went away this weekend and I told myself, you know, I didn't have to keep to my Battle of the Bulge plans for the weekend. And quite honestly, I ate fairly well this weekend. Not brilliantly, but fairly well. With the exception of the party, where I did enjoy the dessert table, probably more than most, but then I didn't eat as much at the main table as most did because of my garlic allergy. So that was a sort of win-win for me. No, you can't have all the lovely food that's there because it's got garlic in it, but you can have all of the desserts if you want them. And I think I did try them all. So my inner kid had an issue when I got back from my trip, because the adult in me said, okay, fine, it's time to get back on track with my MyFitnessPal stuff. And my kid was so exhausted from the weekend that she didn't want to do anything. And then it's just like, no, I don't want to do anything now. And so what happened was that the kid won out. And I noticed that yesterday I managed to overcome the kid enough to do some exercise. No, squats. And that was an improvement. That was getting my self-control back. But boy, even though people were encouraging me, I did not get to MyFitnessPal and start recording what I was eating. So I need to work harder on that today. Just by the way, you will notice that it's really foggy today. It's 7 degrees Canadian and 44 American. And a very observant viewer said on yesterday's vlog, it was wonderful because it started out this very misty morning that she could see out of the windows. I hope I've got the same angle today. But as I rose up on my way to work, because it's uphill, as I rose up through the missed. It was such a beautiful day at the other side of this fog, if you like, and when you broke through the fog. And so I'm hoping it does the same today, because she said the colour of the trees was well worth keeping an eye on. So I'll give you a heads up in case you're listening, because I know quite a few of you do listen to this as you're doing other things, like putting on your makeup or getting dressed or doing whatever. I don't know, but a lot of you say that you do listen rather than watch. So I'll give you a heads up once we get into nice weather, if we do. You know, it's British Columbia, sometimes we don't. So I was wondering whether any of you can give us some feedback as to what your little kid has a tantrum over. Now, there's part of me that says that our very courageous viewer with agoraphobia, that's the fear of going outside, whether her little kid isn't at work here, doing overtime, literally. I don't want you going outside. It's nasty out there. People have germs. You'll get sick. You can imagine the little kid really having an issue about that. And so all of us every day have to make the decision to go out and play or work or do whatever. And so how do you come to a win-win? As I was telling the other viewer, which is the trick to this is come to a win-win, and then you won't be stuck anymore. You'll be able to move. So I think that's what our viewer with agoraphobia is doing. She's saying she's overcoming the little kid and saying, okay, fine, you don't have to be out long. We're just going to be out for 10 steps. And then I'll be right back inside again, so you'll be safe. She has to have that sort of conversation to make it work, to get to the win-win at this stage. Now, as she becomes more and more seasoned in this, as she has more and more experience of overcoming the kid, she's not going to have to explain herself to the kid at all. She's just going to go once or twice, excuse me, I'm the adult here. I'm going outside. And I hope that comes to her fairly soon. Because really, if you could say that, literally, and in an adult voice, excuse me, I'm the adult here. I've decided to go outside. And then go. And don't negotiate whether you're going to go or not. You actually just tell the facts that you're the adult and you're going. And so you look at those sort of issues and you think, boy, what stops me every day from getting on the total gym? It's that little voice in my head. Little being the operative word. It's that little voice going, nah, finish your coffee first. You deserve to sit down and enjoy your coffee. You know, and the next thing is another hour has gone by, and then it's goes, oh, but you know, your favorite program's about to start. So you don't want to do it now. Yeah, you can do it later. Yeah, right. And so it goes on until eventually the whole evening's gone and you haven't done a moment on the total gym. And then you justify that by saying, gosh, I was just too busy. Well, I was just too busy not making time to get on the total gym. That's what my adult knows. Just too busy not making time. Because none of us has enough time. Especially in this day and age. And I certainly don't. As you know. So oh gosh, I can't believe this. I was busy telling you to watch out of the window for when we get to the pretty trees, and we've got to the part where the pretty trees are coming in and it's still foggy. Oh, rats. Well, anyway, if you like pretty trees, apparently you can see them really well. Yet, on the vlog that I put up yesterday. Hopefully you can see some of them in the background now, because they are pretty. I'm going down an avenue or a boulevard of trees, and there's some really pretty colours, if you can see through the fog. And so there are lots of areas in which the little kid takes control. And quite honestly, there are times when the little kid should take control. I think on the flip side of this, like everything in life, there's the yin and the yang of it. And the opposite of this is when we don't let the kid have any control at all, which stops us from playing. It stops us from doing stupid things, fun things. It sort of goes, oh, I better not do that. I'm a grown-up now. And I don't know if I ever told you this story, but there was I wonder if I did. Forgive me if I did, because I still love the story. I was all dressed up once doing a speech over on Vancouver Island. And I think it was in Penticton, but I can't be 100% sure. It might have been a little bit farther north than that. Anyway, I was doing this full-day speech for a group of women. And it was like a full-day workshop thing. And it was such fun, because when I came out for the break, we were standing outside and we were underneath the sort of eaves of a building, so we were sheltered, and sort of watching the gentle rain, which had been obviously quite serious rain whilst we'd been inside, because there were there were big puddles everywhere. And as we were watching it, a car drew up and out got a man and his probably 3-year-old son, maybe 2. Might have been 2, but he was dressed, the little kid was dressed in these incredible yellow boots, a yellow rain slicker and a yellow rain hat. I will see this picture forever. And he was full of life. And it was so cute, because he got out of the car, and what's the first thing he sees? A dirty great puddle. And that made me think that maybe this whole outfit was brand new, because the first thing he did was run towards the puddle and go plip-plop, 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 as hard as he could, making as much splashing as he could. And that looked like such fun. I mean, you could just... And he turned around and did it back. You know what I mean? And by then, Daddy realized what he was doing and stopped him. But it was just like... It looked like such fun. Well, here I am. I'm watching this, and the little kid in me is going, that looked like such fun. And before I could actually process too much, I just decided to go do it. Now, I had probably at least 10 to 20 participants with me. It was quite a gathering, I seem to remember. You're hanging on my every word as I remember it. And I just said, excuse me. And I just headed for the puddle in my 4-inch heels with my beautiful suede pumps and my beautiful suit. No raincoat, no Wellingtons. And off I went, and I hit the puddle going plip, plop, plip, plop, plip, plop, plip, plop in my heels, making lots of splashing, which got me good and wet, ruining the pumps, I'm sure. But I came back through the puddle, because if you're going to do it, you might as well enjoy it. And then literally took off my pumps, held them upside down to get rid of the water. Said I need to go to the washroom now to get dry, and quickly ran to the washroom and took a paper towel and dried off as best I could, including my shoes. And then, without missing a heartbeat of time, walked back into the seminar room, the conference room, whatever, and continued this presentation for about 400 women. And the only people who knew were the people who'd been outside, and the people they obviously told, because I'm sure some people did tell that story. And I just carried on like it had never happened. But I kept laughing, as I guess I am now, because I kept remembering what fun that was. So then I decided to tell the story. Now there's part of me that quite often does these things and I just don't tell the story. But in this case I decided to tell the story of what had happened. And you can imagine this audience was horrified. I mean, here I was, this beautifully presented speaker in this very expensive black suit. And it was. And you know, obviously very expensive suede pumps, which they were. Playing in puddles. And my message to them was, if this were the last day of your life, would you want to go and play in that puddle? And I think that's how I worded it. And you know, that's sort of part of my thinking on these things. I asked myself, you know, if I never got the chance again, would I want to do this now? And sometimes the answer is yes, but I'm not going to, because, you know, that's the better decision at the time. But that particular puddle, you know, the better decision was go play. So that's what I said, you know, if this were the last day of your life, would you want to go play? What I didn't realize was what I was setting up for the lunch break. Because come the lunch break, guess how many women went out and played in the puddle? So I was probably responsible for a lot of people catching cold that week. Because by the time they went to do it, it was raining again. And some of them literally took off their shoes and their hose and played in it. And others just did what I did and ruined their shoes. But it was so cute to hear their stories when they came back. If you can see the trees now, they're really magnificent reds. And you know, obviously it's one of my fond memories because I'm still remembering it, and it must have been close to 20 years ago that had happened. And I can see it as if it were yesterday. And I'm still smiling about it. So that would be my wish for you. I don't know if you can see over that side at all, but if you can, there's some really pretty trees. Anyway, so my wish for you today would be twofold. Be aware of your inner child telling you things. And then as an adult, process whether or not you want to listen. And if you don't, come to the win-win. Say to the kid in you, yes, I know that's what you want to do, but I am the adult now, and this is what we actually are going to do. But later we'll play a bit. And then do. Make sure if you go for the win-win, that it is a win-win. And secondly, to bring a bit more laughter into your life. And to play a little. Or do something stupid. Something that will make you laugh. something that isn't hurtful or damaging to you or anybody else, but is just not necessarily something that adults do all the time. I always think it's the greatest reason to be a parent, or one of the greatest, is you get to play with all those toys again. And I don't know if any of you have got any stories about that one, but you know, it's like, how many adults buy kids presents that they would like to play with? And as the kids start getting older, the I want to play with that gets more serious, you know. So some of you will remember that that people in my life are well aware of that kid inside me and how much it likes to play. And that's why they buy me gizmos, and you know, for my kitchen, or they buy me. You remember for Christmas I got a remote-controlled helicopter from somebody. Now that's somebody who understands my kid. So play a little. Go for the win-win, whether it's with your inner child or with anybody else. I really thank you for watching. If you are new to watching the Dear Mama Sal channel, please remember to subscribe. Make sure that you have liked the Facebook page. The link's here somewhere on this page that you're on. Because if you do, I can keep you updated as to when the broadcasts are and other things that are happening, because we do most of that through either Facebook or Twitter, or both. And if you are not part of that, then you can miss out, and I hate that. So, a virtual hug to you all. Oh, I've stopped the car so I can't. And we'll chat to you tomorrow.